Now, yeah, we're gonna. I can't really remember when we used to do this when we had two on one screen, but that's okay. Welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live with your host, Tony Redfro, and my co-hosts, LaDonna Sherwood and Francis Lawkins.
Knowledge is Power Podcast Live starts now.
Francis is not going to be with us today, so I have my special guest, LaDonna Sherwood. Hello, not my guest, but my co-host, LaDonna Sherwood. And our special guest, Mrs. Rachel Woodson. Hey, October is the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And all this month on Knowledge is Power podcast, we're going to be displaying domestic violence awareness and breast cancer awareness. And I want you all to join us each podcast this month, Sundays and Mondays, and so that we can the guests can discuss some of their facts and help with some of the support system that you might need if you went into that. Okay, now also I'm going to go in and say, hey, Knowledge is Power Podcast Live is available on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Apple, iTunes, Google Play, Twitter, whatever you want is there, okay? Now, okay, all right, and LaDonna?
Knowledge is Power Podcast Live is a platform to share important information by educating Southeast Texas African American communities with valuable information on health, education, finance, politics, and business. We pride ourselves on keeping our hand on the pulse of this community and making sure you are in the loop in what is going on in and around the Golden Triangle.
All right.
Tonight we are super excited, and as you can tell, we together, right? Because we like to be together. So we're gonna have a little chat, and we're excited about that.
All right. You introduce our guests, and let's move on.
Okay, so tonight we have Rachel G. Woodson, who is a life coach, a therapist, a domestic violence survivor, a motivational speaker, an overall entrepreneur and inspirer. She also just got through filming on set. Okay, so we have somebody that can actually tell us a little bit about it, how to survive it, how to overcome it, that you can heal, grow, and become better, and your destination is not determined by your origination. We got Rachel tonight. Come on.
Hey guys. Hey everybody. Thank you guys so much for having me. Yes. And like she said, I just came in from filming in Atlanta, so I am still getting used to time and getting used to not going to sleep right now.
So tell the audience that about your past situations, because there's quite a few women and men who has been abused in relationships and mental and physically, and your experience, you're a victim of it, and let's tell them what did you have to go through, and some of the reaction that you had to take to prevent it from happening, or how did you get support And was there a support system that you went to get you out of that situation? Because there are women today and men today that don't know what to do, and they're being abused right at this moment.
Right.
Right. And you know what? I am so glad you said men and women, because a lot of people think that abuse is just a man abusing a woman, but there are women out there who are verbally, mentally, and physical abusive as well. I like to tell people that abuse just doesn't start with a person hitting you. Because if a person hits you, if a guy walks up and hit a woman right now, she's not going to go for it. That it's a process. Violence and the abuse is a process. It just doesn't start physical. It starts emotional. It starts mental. I tell people all the time, stop thinking. And my clients, stop thinking it's so cute. And the man is so in tune with you if he has figured out what time you get home and he's calling you to make sure you made it home. Calling you to make sure you made it to your destination. All these different things, because when he calls you and say, I just want to make sure you made it home, or you're not home by now, that's like a big sign. That's a big indicator that this man is trying to make you feel he's trying to control you. But your mindset says, girl, he just always checking up on me. He loved me. He always trying to make sure that I'm safe. No, he is planting seeds that will become physical violence that is right now just emotional violence. Because what he's wanting to do, he's wanting to make sure that you are needy towards him. You think that he loves you. You think that he wants you, buying you things, supporting you, making sure, and every single time letting you know that no one else loved you like he loves you. No one else has ever went out of their way to do things for you. No one else cares about you. So anytime something happens in your life, he raises up the fact that he's doing something that no one else is doing. So he's still planting seeds. Domestic violence. So this is for a woman that is getting to know someone that or will get to know someone. I want us to hit on all levels tonight, from the beginning of awareness, because this is awareness, right? This is
Yes.
bringing awareness to anybody that want to fall in love. And there's so many young girls who have the daddy syndrome and fall in love with older men. And the first thing they think about is, girl, he's paying my bill. He's taking care of me. He's paying my tuition. He wants,
Mm-hmm.
taking me on trips. He's doing this. He's doing that. Now, I'm not saying that there are not good men out there who are just good, wholesome men who take care of you. But if you are if you're passing up the signs, because there's a difference between a guy that has your back and that's riding with you and taking care of you and lets you have your space, versus a man that's riding with you, taking care of you, and wants to know your every move. He wants to be the GPS in your car. He wants to be, you're lost on the iPhone. He wants to know, can he find you if in the daytime, at dark? It doesn't matter. You have to be able to listen to those signs and listen to how he's planting those seeds. And so that's something that I didn't do. I didn't listen to the signs and the seed planting when I was younger, and you don't want to date in a vulnerable place. I was in a vulnerable place, and I found myself getting something that I never had. That's why I help women all the time understand their dating pattern. Because if you know exactly what you had, you won't fall into the same thing. A lot of women say, the next man I date, he has to be hardworking. He has to have a job. He has to be faithful. All those things come from what you didn't have. So if you had somebody or your family or no support, and this man is coming in and supporting you, the first thing you think about is, you know what? I want that purse. I want, that car. I want somebody to take me out to eat. I want somebody to do this. So he is spoiling you, but he's so spoiling is actually, instead of a spoil with the S, he's planting seeds with the S. So you have to pay attention. I didn't pay attention to that. I just felt like, you know what? It's been so long. I've been buying burgers. I've been paying the rent. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. And finally, somebody else that not only can buy fries, but can buy the burger. Somebody that not only can take me somewhere, but let me drive their car. Let me do this. So I was slowly had seeds planted to where I fell in love with the things that were going on. And all those things came with a price. All those things come with a price, because when you step out of line and something is not up to par with them, that's when you see the first sign. And it's always a thing of, like, if it's a mistake or something they didn't mean to do, or, I got just natural instincts of a man, because that's what I was told. That's just a natural instinct. I'm sorry. And I'm just thinking, you know what, it is just a natural instinct. Because somebody do something to me, I might just react and reflect and things like that. But looking back, no. You have to know how to control yourself at all times, no matter where you are and what situation that you are in. So I just really think that that is something that's important. I don't want to get too much into it where I don't answer any of your other questions, but it just doesn't start from a hit, a slap. There are different signs that women need to pay attention to in communication that allows them to be able to understand where a man mindset is.
The little controlling factors that ultimately play a part in what they want from you. They want to give you something, but like you say, it's at a price. And then when you don't line up with whatever, then it may be like, well, then all of a sudden you meet Jekyll and Hyde. It's like two different people,
Exactly.
You're meeting this charming, caring, charismatic person, but you don't know that there's a beater or a manipulator or a egotistical, maniacal person on the other side of this individual.
Right. And you don't get that side until you do something that strikes a nerve. A lot of times that nerve that is strikes from a past relationship or a nerve that is strikes from childhood, instantly they put you in the position to see the other person's face, the accuser, the abuser's face from their childhood or from their past, and they see it on you and they take it out on you.
So would you say that like 99% of abusers have been abused?
It may not have been physical abuse, but it will be either abuse or neglect.
Right.
A lot of men that I know, looking back on my situation, or women, men or women, but a lot of men in that situation, they were neglected by someone. And so it's like a mother, an aunt, somebody close to them neglected them. So the first thing they want to do is they want to make sure whatever woman comes into their life doesn't leave. Okay. Just like women have daddy issues, men have mommy issues. There are some moms who weren't there for their kids, and not being there for their children puts their children in a place to make sure, okay, you know what? My mama wasn't here, but I tell you what, every woman that comes in my life, she's only going to leave if I allow her to leave. Because you never could control your mama on her if she came or if she went.
So let me ask you this. As far as domestic violence, like total red flags, aside from them trying to control you, what would you say is something that you can kind of look out for as far as, domestic abuse, aside from them hitting you and like saying they're sorry or they didn't mean it? Like, what are some of the other, or buying you things to keep you attached? What are some of the other things that a manipulator or an abuser may do that may try to keep their victim, from seeing through the facade?
There's a new term called gaslighting.
Let's talk about that.
A lot of people don't know the term about gaslighting. Gaslighting is when they make you feel bad for their decisions. They do something wrong and automatically they cast their wrong words, their wrong thoughts, their wrong motives, their wrong actions on you. They make you question yourself. If you ever question yourself and ask yourself, well, did I do that? Or was it something I said? Or maybe I shouldn't have, asked that question. Yeah. Or maybe I shouldn't have cooked this. Or maybe it's, for example, they get heartburn and they say, well, I wouldn't have got heartburn if I would have ate your food. So now you're sitting up here thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't have cooked that meal for them.
Yeah, that's gaslighting.
And so now you're second guessing every move that you make. And you want to make sure the moves that you make are moves that they accept. Okay, so I cooked this last time. Do you want me to cook this? Because I don't want you to get heartburn. And that's still planting seeds. That's still planting seeds into you to help you understand. Now, here's my thing. If for whatever reason a person does these things and you call these things out, some people don't know that they're actually doing it because nobody has ever showed them or told them. Now, if you bring it to their attention, now, wait a minute now. I want to make sure we're not gaslighting. This, that, and blah, blah, blah. If they begin to change that behavior, because sometimes people don't know because other women accepted it or other men accepted it. But when it comes to a point where they're not changing it, okay, yeah, whatever. So, well, if they put it back on you, every time they put it back on you, instead of answering the question, they make you question yourself. That's gaslighting, another sign of mental abuse.
Now let's talk about. Go ahead, Tony.
I was going to ask, how early do you think in age that it starts? So does it start like a teenager in high school? dating a young man in high school or a young lady dating a young man and she's abusive to him? Do that start early, like by that
From what
age?
I have not only known from my own experience and my clients' experience and my studies, it does start early. Because when you fall in love at a young age, especially if I don't really know many abusers who come from a well home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Either they come from a home with mom and dad did it to mom, or mom did it to dad. Or they
Mm-hmm.
come from a home where daddy wasn't there, mama wasn't there, somebody was absent. So when
Mm-hmm.
back to what I said a few minutes ago, when someone comes into their life, they don't want to lose them. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do whatever I can, to make sure that I don't lose you.
Mm.
So if I tell you I'm going to be in the hallway and I'm going to walk you to class and you're not in the hallway, you're taking a test, and you can kind of tell because he's a little bit fidgety. He's a little nervous. He's thinking something happened. See, young men don't know how to control their emotions. Manipulation is something that you learn in time. That's not something you just automatically pick up and like, oh, I'm manipulate somebody.
Mm.
When they're younger, they get really nervous.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of tell in their body language. They're jittery, they're stuttery, they're sweating. They're trying. Oh, I saw something happen to you. I thought this. Da, 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 da. So they're everywhere in communication, and then you don't pick up. Oh no, you have to calm them down. Now, when it comes as they get older, they corner you.
Mm-hmm.
They have control over the situation. They're pointing in your face. They put you in a position where you can't go anywhere because they want to make sure you know that their anger is there. Young men and women that are abusers try to hide their anger. Older and wise abusers. When I say wise, I mean people that have are a veteran in this, have done it before. It's not their first time. They want you to know. They want to put that fear in you.
And what I was gonna say something about mental abuse, like how people talk down to you or talk or try to minimize your accomplishments and your value and your worth and make you feel like you're less than. So it so some
Yeah.
of forms of abuse take on degradation and intimidation by tactic of you're not smart, you stupid, you this, you that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, you're lazy, you're this or that, or whatever the case may be. And then some of it takes on a more uh, covert way of saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, that's a bad idea. Or what, it may not be that it may not be the words dumb or stupid, but it may just be minimizing your thoughts or your thought process or whatever, right?
Yeah, they definitely want to minimize your thought process before they start adding in that you'll never be nothing without them.
Okay, right.
Right.
Because if they tell you you'll never be nothing without them, it's like, yes, I will. It's like, okay, I've talked to people who have said in the past that it's the small things that they did that their abuser didn't like and tried to redirect and tried to tell them that the way they were doing something was not an adult move, that they had a child mindset. And then they wanted to implement their way into how they wanted them to do this. Simple things, from organizing seasonings in the pantry to how to fold a towel. Or they'll take things that you did not learn in your childhood and try to show you those things, but then try to downgrade what you were not taught.
Right.
Instead of empowering you and uplifting you and being a helpmate to you. And then eventually, all these things that they have taught you, all these things that they have shown you, now when it comes down to you actually trying to move on your own, the first thing you get is don't forget who taught you, or you'll never be nothing. And that was my biggest thing. When I decided, and we'll get on to leaving and things like that, when I decided to walk away and move around and not come back and not really care, it was you'll never be nothing. And I think it was because at that period of time I had nothing.
Right.
But it
And
didn't
they
mean that I was going to be nothing.
and they steal your self confidence in yourself. You lose your self esteem.
Yes, because
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Right.
And what I had to do was, I never forget, I gained so much weight. I was a size 22.
Wow.
And, I began to tell myself in the mirror that I love myself. I began to say affirmations, and before you know it, I began to walk, and then I began to lose weight, and then that confidence came. And that confidence came so strong to where it was like you couldn't tell me nothing. If you said something to me, I didn't even hear you. I no longer could hear you in my mind. I no longer could see you. When you decided to leave, I said, okay, and locked the door behind you.
So how long were you in that domestic violence, and how did you cope with it? Was kids involved in it in this relationship?
Well, I only have 2 kids.
Oh, okay.
so, me and my kids started over. And I started over on housing and food stamps.
And reason why I asked that question, because sometimes it can affect a child growing up in that environment, because
Well, there were babies at the time. But what I would tell a lot of women is when you have an opportunity to end something, and I'm not just talking about ending the relationship and moving on, because my downfall and my regret as a person, I don't have a lot of regrets, but I only have one, was not putting people in their places at the age when my kids were small. Giving people the benefit of the doubt. Growing up in the church, you always felt like you got to give people chances like Jesus.
Right.
So you found yourself being sovereign because you served a sovereign God.
Right.
And not realizing that some people will turn the sovereign in you, and they'll become the Judas to Jesus, and their purpose will be only to minimize or to kill your destiny.
Right.
And so I would tell women, when you see something going on, if you know your kids are not going to be in an environment, don't ask a man to give you child support. Don't beg a man to get his kids. Don't beg a man to be a father. Don't allow them and afford them the opportunity. As a mother, your job is to make sure that your kids are taken care of. That just doesn't mean financially. Making sure their future is taken care of. That also means making sure their future is taken care of mentally. Yeah. Because if I would have done some things in the past, the future of my kids mentally, I wouldn't have to deal with it. Counseling and therapy could have done a great service instead of allowing someone to partake and be in their life to do a disservice.
Right. I think that's an important part to make about setting boundaries and making sure that you are capable of cutting people off, regardless of the abuse, regardless of the position that they may hold in that person's life. If they're not adding value, and if they are creating chaos and discord, then it's okay to cut them off. It's okay to start early. This is a way to kind of prevent some abuse, before it ever gets started. Not just for yourself, but for the kids too, and other family members that may wind up getting mentally or physically abused because we didn't take the step in the beginning. Tony, do you have anything you want us to cover right off?
Well, yeah, I'm going to ask another deal. Is that so? When you took a step of faith to walk out and leave it behind you, you had to start all over again, correct?
Oh yeah, started all over with nothing.
Right.
Housing and food stamps.
And you still made it.
Yeah, I became a CNA. I made $5.15 while I was getting my CNA license, and an hour. I would like to say $5.15 an hour while getting my CNA license, and I was still on housing and food stamps. And then I started doing hospice. And then I said, you know what? I started taking leaps of faith and setting goals because I still was getting the same thing. You'll never be nothing without me.
Right. So when you started feeling good about yourself, and usually they try to come back to you, or
right,
because they have that type of control that what they're used to with girls, but. Did you look back, or you just kept going? Because the reason I'm asking that, because there's somebody that's going to watch this show or listen to it, and I want to encourage that person that might be going through abuse, or has been challenged about it, mentally or physically. What they can do, we can give them confidence that it will work out, but you have to be strong enough to take it, and give them some advice on, is there a support system they can reach out to say, hey, I need some help I'm getting my tail whipped. I'm mentally drained. I'm stressed. My kids are
Right.
mentally confused, and I need help
I
because.
think there are so many resources now
Hmm.
where you can anonymously do things. You can reach out to people from, any state, any area to get help. Back then, there weren't as many resources.
Right.
I will say this to be transparent. I never forget after I started doing things that I actually moved, I was offered a vehicle. It was kind of
Hmm.
like, I feel bad. Your kids don't have a way around. I get a vehicle. The vehicle, I took the vehicle not to realize that taking this vehicle meant that I'm going to have cops outside of my house
Uh
and
huh.
check my house before I go in my house.
Right.
So I was like, you need to come pick up this vehicle.
Right, because it was a tool.
It was a tool to try to still trap me.
Right.
You're doing something supposedly to help,
Right.
the family with those strings attached, but
Right.
it had a string of gasoline attached to it.
Right.
Didn't want that. So I just made up in my mind that it really didn't matter. I don't have a problem with robbing Peter to pay Paul. I don't have a problem with not going without on me to make sure my kids have. One thing that I can be proud to say, I never got a sugar daddy to help me take care of anything. I went and I continued to get out the mud. But this is the thing I want young women to understand. If anybody makes you feel less than, if anybody ever tells you that you're nothing without them, if anybody ever has you feeling anything less than what you think of yourself, I don't care if it's a man, I don't care if it's a friend, I don't care if it's family. Because domestic violence is just not about being in an intimate relationship of the opposite sex. Right. Your mama can be giving you a violence, mentally
Right.
abusing you.
Right. Right.
Your daddy can be mental. Your friends, your cousins, whoever is making you feel like you're not good enough.
Right.
Making you question the greatness that's inside of you. Whenever you look in the mirror and you see somebody that's good and they want to tell you that you average, you need to understand that you need to remove yourself from them.
Right.
I think that one of the biggest things, Tony, you were saying you want to encourage them. One thing about it, what we have to learn that coming out of domestic violence situations and starting all over, you can't take everything too serious. You got to roll with the punches because life sometimes will deal you a bad hand. But if you hold on, joy gonna come in the morning. I know we say that all the time,
Right.
but you might go through a weeping season or some dark days. But if you hold on, one thing about it,
It will pass.
it will pass.
Yeah.
It will pass.
It will
This
pass.
too shall pass. It won't be forever. You
Right.
won't be down always. You can't be,
It could be all types of different type of domestic violence. A lot of marriages are together, and going through domestic violence and abuse and mental abuse is because they can't afford to go nowhere else. They
Right.
need each other, so they got to stay right there with each other and abuse each other.
Yeah.
And it's a we have to understand that, like Rachel said earlier, that she had to step out, and start all over again. There's nothing wrong with starting over again. I mean, I've started over again
Me
before,
too.
So
Right.
we all have started over again. So we all had to go back to our mama's houses and all that
Yeah.
to stay with them and get that abuse. But it's a sacrifice that we have to do to get to live, because we never know, if it gets to that violent,
Right.
anything can happen.
There's a show right now on Netflix called The Maid. I'm actually watching it. It shows the domestic abuse, the abuse, and the troubles and the trials of single mothers when they decide to leave. How hard it is. You have nothing. You go back. Don't let anybody beat you up and make you feel stupid for being in a domestic violent or mental abusing relationship. Don't let them make you feel stupid for that. Because I tell people all the time, you never know where you will be. You never know how you would get entangled in something so easy. Because like I said, they plant seeds first. Right. But the only way you're going to get past the seeds that they planted and the harvest that's growing with the toxic harvest that's growing within your life through them is you got to plant new seeds. I'm doing a webinar on next Monday called How Toxic Can They Get? You have to know these barriers of seeds that's being planted so you can uproot, you can replant soil, you can grow through affirmations. If you're on here and if your self-esteem is low, I don't care if you've been abused or not been abused. Do me a favor. Find me on whether it's social media, Rachel G. Woodson on Google. I'm going to take you to my website. I will give you a set of affirmations. Some of the same affirmations that I use to get me out of my situation. And
Right. Absolutely. And I want to say this too, that those who are listening and need some help, and uh, we here at Knowledge is Power Podcast is here to help our community and those who are in our community. And you're welcome to contact us. We have a website at www.knowledgeispowerpodcast.live. Our emails are there, our phone numbers there. Reach out to us so that we can get you some support, get you some financial support, get you some living support, give you something that you can feel good about leaving home and not looking back. You know, there's places that we can help you with. So I like to end this and let.
And that, wait, there's also a phone number, Tony. They can call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. And that's a hotline that will help you get you through to the next step.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post that hotline number up and let me uh, put it on the screen so they can see it. Okay, now give me that number again. 800.
1-800
Mm-hmm.
799 SAFE. That's 7234. 7233, I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, there we go. Hotline for domestic. Okay, great. That's our number there for a hotline for those who are in domestic violence
There we go.
situation.
it's
Oh,
800
I messed up some numbers here. Wait a minute.
799. I want them to get the right number to get that help. Right?
Yeah, hold on. I put too many numbers there. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
All right.
you got it.
The big fingers. All right. Okay. That's our number.
Yes.
800-799-7233. That's 800-799 SAFE. You can reach out to them. Any PSA we need to talk about?
Tomorrow night, I'm hosting a public safety forum at.
Could be that.
Oh, you got it. At
Yeah.
LSP, the Southeast Texas Young Democrats is going to be the MC. Of course, I'm the president of that organization, and we're going to have police, fire, and other authorities in the community there to speak about the new gun laws, new legislation that may have passed that may be affecting our community, and just topics in general that may make us nervous or we want to discuss with the winter months coming. Fire safety, fire prevention. We know every year there are some homes that are burnt or may incur fire and things of that nature. So we're going to have fire safety. It's just going to be an overall public safety forum to increase community relations with authorities in our neighborhood. Okay, Tony, I think you got disconnected. Okay, we have the Faith and Strength to Endure Community Diabetes Awareness. That's going to be in November. I can't see the bottom of it, but I think it's November the 13th. I think that's on November.
I think I don't know the date on that, but I think so. I think you're correct there.
But we have that.
And
then,
also you have the and that's in November, the Diabetes Awareness Month.
November.
That's next month.
And then we also have the speaker, James Clyburn, is going to be here with the Democratic Party. That's also going to be happening in November.
That's in November as well.
I'm going to get you the flyer for that. That's going to be a really huge Democratic event where people can come. It's $100 a ticket and meet him, get the VIP treatment, all of these different things, and just get riled up for elections that are coming up in 22. So we're looking forward to that.
All right. Rachel Woodson, thank you so much for your testimony. And it means so much to me and my hosts. And we want to make sure that our community gets the information they need and advice they can help them with. On next Sunday, we're going to have, I can't think of our guest. Oh, Trish Gidry going to be our guest on next Sunday. And on Tuesday, we're going to have following Tuesday, we're going to have the Sister for Sister breast cancer spokespersons on here talking about breast cancer and their support system that they offer to help those who are suffering from breast cancer. And so our month is full with breast cancer and
Domestic violence.
domestic violence, and also we had a show on Sunday on National Blindness. So,
Baby, I
we
think everything is in October.
yeah, everything is in October. So,
Including
with
my birthday.
all right, hey, well, thank you so much, so much, Rachel, for joining us. And if there's any last word you like, you got it.
Guys, you can find me on Google, www.rachelgwoodson.com, and follow me all on the social media platforms. If you have not picked up my book, I'm Somebody's Wife, you can catch that on my website. Also, stay tuned and make sure you sign up to my newsletters to know when any of my shows, movies, events, and anything else is coming out for me. And thank you guys for
Wait,
having me.
wait, you ready to have me on one of your shows?
Sure.
Hey, let me
No,
have-
Tony, I don't want you on there. Not at all.
It's a lot of work.
I got one called "I'm in Love with a Woman I Can't Stand."
You know what? That's a lot of people. COVID allowed people to understand that, wow, now that I have time and I'm not busy working, I don't even know if I like the person I'm married to.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I was reading something. I saw that. I said, that's the first time I heard that phrase before. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. We love you. God bless you. Thank you again. Knowledge is Power Podcast Live.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Be sure to like and subscribe to all Knowledge is Power social media pages.